ventured on this extensive research journey, I did not know what I was expecting to find. I did, however, endeavor to be a voice to students who were not being heard and to shed negative light on high-stakes testing due to my own dislike of the test. In this respect, I succeeded, but in overall meeting pre-planned objectives about what I was looking for, well, I found those along the way. In other words, the objectives of my research were revealed to me the more I learned about high-stakes testing. I aimed at shedding negative light on the test, but why? Allow me to take you on the research journey I have been traveling over the course of this semester. Along the way, I will share what I have learned about high-stakes testing, how my opinion has shifted, and what questions still persist. The first thing I learned about high-stakes testing was this. It is just as much an assessment of the teacher or professor as it is of the student. High-stakes testing, no matter how unfavorable they are among students, are a necessary means of seeing where teachers missed the mark. In doing this, instructors improve their teaching methods and fill in knowledge gaps that exist. Another finding in my research was that I am not alone. I am among thousands of other students that do not favor this type of testing method. While I felt comfortable in this, it was disheartening to see that measures to change the test had not been taken into account. While my research showed me that high-stakes testing is not favored among students, it is only a small portion of the overall knowledge that a student would have learned over the course of a semester. High-stakes testing is only a small representation of the wide knowledge that a student has obtained. Overall, the course of my research objectives, my opinions shifted throughout my research. My feelings towards my topic began to become more involved as I become more interested and connected with my research. I still stick to my guns when it comes to finding alternatives to high-stakes testing. My opinion towards my research, as it has developed over time, shifted my feelings about what is being done about high-stakes testing. I had a glimmer of hope at the start of my research when I heard a speech by our president saying, "Testing should be more than filling in bubbles." I later came to find Obama contradicting himself in the race to the top, which is essentially a competition between states to see who has the highest achieving educational programs based on how students compare nationwide. At this point in my research, I became frustrated and confused. Some of the most credible sources were not taking appropriate measures and finding alternatives to high-stakes testing. Since we are in the age of information and technology, my research findings changed over time, especially during my third response, in my second research video. Current events were unfolding right in the midst of my research. For example, an open letter to President Obama was submitted on the issue of October 23rd, 2013. This letter challenged Obama's race to the top, saying that standardized tests hinder students' creativity and imagination. While this enhanced my research, it further confused it, still leaving me with unanswered questions. There are still unanswered questions pertaining to high-stakes testing. The reason for the neglect of educational programs at this time can be attributed to the much larger issues going on within our government. I think that if this issue is further neglected, regret will ensue. After all, the generation of today will be the working professionals of tomorrow, which makes education one of the most important topics of our time and of all times. To further express the importance of education, allow me to share with you a quote by Thomas Jefferson in a letter to George Wythe on August 13th, 1786. I think by far the most important bill in our whole code is that for the diffusion of knowledge among the people. No other sure foundation can be devised for the preservation of freedom and happiness. Preach, my dear sir, a crusade against ignorance. Establish and improve the law for educating the common people. Let our countrymen know that the people alone can protect us against these evils, tyranny, oppression, etc. And that the tax which will be paid for this purpose is not more than the 1,000th part of what we pay to kings, priests, and nobles who will rise among us if we leave the people in ignorance. It is amazing to that a problem that existed hundreds of years ago still persists. I was curious to see what alternatives there are to standardized testing. I stumbled upon multiple intelligence tests. Unfortunately, there's little evidence of multiple intelligence testing being implemented over the existing standardized tests. This is the case because up until now, we've been pleased with high-stakes testing because we did not know any different. The differences that we were aware of were not noticeable enough to implement change until now. Every day, more research is found about learning disabilities, learning gaps, and how students learn best within the classroom based on how their brain processes information. While we have gathered all this new and useful information, little is being done about it, and unfortunately, the problem will only get bigger over time. Overall, my research has done far more than inform me about high-stakes testing. It has shown me the importance of education, as well as encouraged me to be more informed on the current events of today that will mold or even alter my future. I hope that my research encourages my audience to also be more aware of the happening in the news pertaining to education, and feel led to contact those empowered to implement change to our testing methods.